We are here with Trevor Georgie, GM of the St. John Sea Dogs. A really exciting team right now. It looks like there's a news every day, almost every week, from your team. Pretty exciting team right now.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, the past few weeks, and we had the announcement of Peter Reynolds and Cam Mcdonnell and Greg Gilbert hired as our new head coach. You think of all the other announcements that have come over the time. Yeah, it's exciting. It didn't come without pain. We had some really tough seasons, a lot of sacrifice, but yeah, we're very excited about the team where we're at for next season, and we think for the next 3 seasons.
Let's talk about the team. Last 2 seasons, like you said, were hard, especially 2 seasons ago. You were the youngest team, I think, in the CHL. How do you evaluate the progression of the team in the last 2 seasons? Teams that pretty much come to maturity right now.
Of course, Alex, it's not easy to go through a tough rebuild. It's not easy to some nights have six, 16-year-olds, 16-year-olds in a lineup, 10 plus rookies get beat, 8-0 and 9-1 and 10-2. It's tough. But we know that good things, can come if you're willing to sacrifice. And our players and our organization sacrificed the last few seasons. We gave our young players lots of ice time. We gave them opportunity. We allowed them to grow and make mistakes, and also allowed them to blossom here with us. So, from a performance as a team perspective, we look at a document that we use called the Sea Dogs Blueprint. It's something that our assistant GM Anthony Stella and I put together with the help of a lot of very good hockey minds, and we followed it very closely. And in that document and in our plan, it showed that we're going to spend 2 years at the bottom, 1 year in the middle, and then hopefully 2 seasons close to the top. And we've spent our 2 years at the bottom, and last year we had our 1 season in the middle, and now we hope to enter the next phase of the 2, we think 3 seasons on top, are at the top. And then the other pieces, individual performances. You look at the minutes that guys like Jérémy Poirier, William Villeneuve, Charlie Dahash, last year Kale Mccallum, and our forwards, Josh Lawrence, Brady Burns, and we can go on and on about the group we have, the minutes that they've been forced to play and grow, and we're really happy with individual, and we're on pace with team.
Let's talk a bit about the players, some of the players that just named. Let's talk about Jérémy Poirier. There's a kind of a hype around him. He might go high in the next NHL draft. For people who maybe don't know him, can you talk a bit about him? What type of player he is? What makes him so good on the ice?
Yeah, Jeremy's a dynamic player. He's got great offensive instincts. He has unbelievable hands. I think I've said multiple times, I think he has the best hands of any player in my time here, certainly. We've had some really good players through here. He's dynamic. He wants to take over a game. Rarely do you see a defenseman score 20 goals in this league, let alone at 17 years old. I think that Jeremy's he's a special player, and the team. I think and I want to defend Jeremy. I think he's been unfairly probably criticized by some of the media that talk about his defensive game. He's so impressive defensively, has so much raw talent. I think Jeremy's a really special player, and we're very, very lucky to have him here in St. John.
So you think the criticism around him, around his defensive ability, are way too big? He's way better than what people think.
Well, I think that Jeremy is a 17-year-old that at 16 and 17, similar to William Villeneuve, similar to Charles Dahash, had to play very challenging minutes, and was thrown into that and was counted on late in the game to get a goal and tie it up for a team, and counted on for big opportunities. And that's not easy. And it's not like Jeremy or Will or Charlie or Kale Mccallum. Any of those guys had any real substantial veteran presence around them. They were really counted on to do the heavy lifting. So I think he's a player that wants to learn. I think he's a player that has tunnel vision. He wants to be a pro hockey player, and I think that Jeremy will do whatever he can, like Will and like Charlie and like Kale, to hit the next level.
So it is his draft year. He's ranked pretty high. Do you see him go out in the first round?
I'm not an NHL scout. I'm not an NHL GM. They're far smarter and they're much more in tune with the rest of the whole kind of global spectrum of players. That's not my job, but for me, he has. From what I've seen, he has first round talent for sure.
And for maybe the people who doesn't really know, do you have like a player you could compare to in the NHL? Maybe not as not maybe for potential, but the type of player he is.
Great question. The natural one that we look at and we don't compare directly to here in St. John is Thomas Chabot, because we had him here and he was a special, offensively gifted, dynamic player. I think that from his time in junior, I think Jeremy's hands and raw ability are ahead of Thomas even. But I think that Thomas's skating is ahead of Jeremy's. I don't think they're the same player. I think it's easy to make that comparison because they both wore Sea Dogs blue and they both play an offensively dynamic game. But I'm going to take the easy answer and say he has similarities to Thomas Chabot.
He's got a good shot too, right?
Great shot. He had to get 20 goals at 17 as a defenseman, and he gets his shot off quick. He's got a great shot as well, and he can carry the puck through traffic. If you wanted Jeremy to do a drill and gain the zone every time by himself on the power play, he could do it every time, which is pretty impressive at 17. I'm excited to see him at 18 and 19.
Another player I want to talk about is William Villeneuve, who has been way under the radar despite having an amazing season. He's ranked, I think, right now around 99 or 100 on the NHL Central scouting list. Why is he so low despite having an amazing season? He was one of the defensemen of the year in the NHL. In the QMJHL, it was a nomination for a defenseman of the year.
Yeah, Alex, that's a great question. I ask myself that very often. I think that Will is very underrated. He's a great two-way defenseman. To be 17 and nominated for Defenseman of the Year, to lead the league in points for a defenseman, to break franchise records for us at 17 for a defenseman. He's a great teammate. He works really hard off the ice. He's competitive. I struggle. Again, I don't come up with those lists, and I do know that speaking to NHL teams, that a lot of teams do have him a lot higher than where he's ranked on the final central scouting. But he's a great player. Whoever picks him, wherever they get him, especially in the ranges that teams that some lists show, are going to get an absolute steal in William Villeneuve. Yeah, he's a great player, and people forget, and some people don't know, last season he had mono. So when he was 16, his 16-year-old year, he had mono, and he still battled through it until we discovered that he had mono. And so it takes time to recover from that. So I really look at it like he has a year and a half of Q experience, not quite 2 years yet. So because of the illness taking a toll on him.
So maybe you cannot say it, but I will. If an NHL GM draft him late in the draft, it's going to be a steal.
I agree 100%.
Let's talk about the last first overall draft pick. Last season, Joshua Roy. How do you evaluate his first season in the Q?
Yeah, it was a good first season. He really took off at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. I thought that come December he started to really show what he could do. He was a point a game player in the second half of the season. So I think it's a tale of two seasons. I think the first half, we knew we were going to start him off to earn everything he got. So he started the season fourth line wing, moved to fourth line center, and slowly moved up. And then by the end of the season, he was playing first line center for us. So it was a little bit by design. I think that probably hurt his numbers early on, because if he had gotten those opportunities earlier, he might have had a greater production than he had. But he's a great player. He protects the puck well with his body. He's really smart. Little details in his game. He's a good player. He just needs to get his foot speed, I think, up to that next level, a little bit more explosiveness, but very low maintenance, very smart. I think he was our smartest pro player probably last year on our team at 16. And he's going to be a very good player for us. And he beat Jonathan Huberdeau's record for scoring as a 16-year-old rookie, which is a pretty big accomplishment.
And physically is not a maturity. I mean, he's gonna keep growing and get bigger, because he's not that big so far.
Yeah, he's not fully grown yet, and he's already got good size. Even if he got hit, he didn't stay down. He's going to be a really good player. He has a natural instinct for finding his teammates, but also for putting the puck in the net.
So you have two new players that a lot of people were talking about, Cameron McDonell and Peter Reynolds. Peter Reynolds was a really high prospect last season. Some people say that he could have gone first overall. You drafted first of the second round. Can you talk to us about the player he is and the person he is, and the player we're going to see on the ice?
For sure. So yeah, Peter, there's definitely an argument to be made for Peter to go first overall, and we had discussions about that. And for Cam McDonell, we think Cam McDonell was a top pick as well. So with Peter specifically, he plays with great pace. He's got great skill. Last year at our development camp in the summertime, right after we drafted Peter, he was here. And we thought he was the best player on the ice at our development camp. And I know that at the summer camp for Hockey Canada for the U17s, I know that feedback from those there thought he might have been one of the best forwards in the country in his age group. So a tremendous talent, a really good young man, a very I think he's pretty charismatic young man that loves hockey, but getting to know him as a person. He's great at golf and wants to be great at everything he does. So, he's great at golf. He's he plays the piano, and apparently I haven't heard him, but apparently he's excellent at that. Like everything, he skipped a grade. Like everything he touches, he wants to be the best at. And I think that's a very good component to his personality that'll help him reach great things. And he's a great player. And I know that he grew up cheering for the Sea Dogs. So, when he told me that before we drafted him, that it was his dream to one day play for the Sea Dogs, he had dreamt that as a child. I knew that I couldn't let it go, and I wanted to help him make that dream a reality. And here we are today.
Is that dream was the big part of the reason that he decided to not go in the United States and play in the QMJHL with the Sea Dogs?
I think it's a part of it. I think knowing that was something he wanted to do, I think it always kept us in touch. And I always felt that one day he'd play here in St. John and be a Sea Dog. I also think there's a lot of uncertainty in the United States right now with everything going on, not just United States, but globally. So I think it was a perfect storm of things. And whatever the final reasons ended up being, we're really happy to have Peter and his family with the team.
I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. What about Cameron McDonell?
Yeah, Cam brings an element that we don't have. He's he's 6'1", 6'2". He's now, I think he's up. He told me the other day, I think he's up to 190 pounds. He's a big, strong power forward. That's a great skater. He's got a great shot. He likes to hit. He's going to be he's going to be, I think, a definite fan favorite in the style that he plays. And he played last year in the USHL in Sioux Falls, and so he's got that experience under his belt. And he's going to add a different dimension. I think in the previous years we were not criticized, but we were one of our challenges was probably viewed to be our size of our team. We're a very fast, skilled team, but when you add a guy like Cale Mccallum to our lineup, who has the skill and the speed, but also has the size, and then you add in a guy like Nicolas Giroir, who we who we traded for, who's also 6'1", 6'2", Leighton Crothers, who we drafted. And then yesterday in the import draft, taking Jan Hampel, who's a 6'2" defenseman. All of a sudden, the shape of our team starts to change. But Cam McDonald is going to be a really, really good player for us. I think he has good pro potential, and we're excited to have him as well. Arguably, he could have been a player, a top 5 player as well in that year's draft.
So in that team, you're going to have a lot of new players and a lot of new young players too. Are you scared that the chemistry of the team could be affected a little bit, especially in the beginning of the season?
I'm not. No, I'm not, and I'll tell you why I'm not. Everybody on this team has sacrificed something to be part of this team, and I think sacrifice is a really important word. And I don't think that players or young people today, when they want to, everyone wants something instantaneous and they want it now and they want it to be done their way. But everybody on our team has sacrificed something to be part of this team. So whether it be a college commitment, whether it be them sacrificing ice time because they're sharing it with other players, whether they're sacrificing power play time, whether they're sacrificing, different opportunities. Every one of our players have sacrificed something to some degree. And so because of that sacrifice, I think that everyone knows that it's not just about them individually, it's about them as a group. And I think the reason for why I'm not worried about that is when you get beat up for a few seasons, I know for sure from our players that they're now hungry to do the beating up instead of getting beat up. And when you live through those challenging times together, I think it makes you stronger as a team. And I know that this group definitely won't forget some of those tough nights and tough road trips.
And what we have to put in perspective is that in the last 2 seasons, the Maritimes division was crazy strong, really, really strong. So we have to put that in perspective too, to say that maybe the best teams in Canada, not only in the QMJHL, but the best team in Canada were in that division in the last 2 seasons.
Absolutely. There's some unbelievable teams here in the Maritimes the last few seasons. The GMs here and the teams do a great job across the whole QMJHL, but the Maritimes division was particularly strong. And it was definitely a challenge for us. I think the balance has started to shift now for next season, the season after that. But the Maritimes division was really strong, and we felt the brunt of that throughout our rebuild for sure.
You talked about acquiring Nicolas Giroir. Am I mistaken, or he almost was a Sea Dogs before the trade, like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alex. So when we made the decision to move Joe Veleno to Drummondville, Nick was a possibility, a piece that was going to come back to us. At that time, Dom Ducharme and I were sorting it out, and it didn't end up working out. We ended up going with a different structure to the trade, but Nick Giroir came very, very close to being a Sea Dog it would have been his 16-year-old year at Christmas. So he came close, but Nicolas Giroir and Christopher Innes from Rimouski, I think both of them are going to have a very nice impact on our team.
And let's talk about the new coach, Craig Gilbert. NHL experience, a lot of experience in the pro hockey. what makes him the right coach at the right time for the Sea Dogs?
Yeah, there's a few factors for sure. We cast a really wide net, and we're looking for a coach with certain criteria. And we would wanted NHL coaching experience, NHL playing experience. We wanted lots of experience of them as a head coach, not just an assistant, but head coach experience, and someone that had won either as player as coach. So when we looked at Greg's candidacy, we saw he had coached in the NHL, the OHL, the AHL. He had won OHL Coach of the Year. He'd won AHL Coach of the Year, and as a player, he had won not one, not two, but three Stanley Cups. So that type of pedigree was interesting. The other piece for us was fit. So I know that through our discussions with various people around hockey, including Wayne Mundy, who's a senior advisor for us, who actually worked with Greg when he was with the Blues organization. The feedback was very positive on Greg and his integrity and his style. So in the end, we had a lot of really, really interesting candidates and very accomplished hockey people. But Greg was the best fit for us. He also coached Jeff Cowan, our associate coach in the NHL. Greg was Jeff's coach in Calgary. He was Stefan Legion, our assistant coach's coach in Mississauga, and he played in Chicago with Mike Eagles, who's our faceoff coach. So there won't be very long introductions when they all get together, because they all know they've all either worked together, played together, or have crossed paths in a previous hockey life.
So the players of the team were not even born when their new coach won the Stanley Cup. But do you think they are aware of his NHL experience and that he's won at the biggest level?
Yeah, he actually we did a Zoom call with our players last week, and they got to meet Greg. We call him Gibby. They got to meet Gibby over Zoom, and certainly they're very attentive. I thought, when someone walks into a hockey locker room with 3 Stanley Cup rings and has coached and played with some of the best players to ever play the game, it definitely grabs your attention. And he's going to be a demanding coach. He's going to have very high expectations. I think he's going to get the best out of this group.
Let's talk about the draft now, because it was a really interesting draft for you guys. You drafted earlier, and I think you had a couple of steal. But before we get into the players, can you talk about how different it was this year? How did it make your job harder because it wasn't a live draft like usual, like you're not on the floor with the other GM? Talk to us about how different this draft was.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was very different. I really enjoy the way we usually do the draft. I think Gilles' vision for the league and as a real show and a showpiece using the draft as that, I think is brilliant. So I missed that for sure. I missed getting to catch up with friends and other GMs at the league meetings. So it was different, but you still I look at my role very much as to understand every option and possibility. So Anthony Stella, our assistant GM head scout, really knows the players inside out, and especially with no combine this year, it's a lot of hockey that I missed. So having Anthony be, I call him, the left side of the brain, and maybe the right side of our hockey brain, is very, very helpful. So for me, my main focus going into the draft is taking the time to get to know the players and interviewing them to get a feel for who they are as people and how they'll fit into our culture. And the other part is understanding every scenario that could present itself. So fans would will love this type of stuff. There's sheets and sheets and notes of different scenarios that could happen, and trade scenarios and draft scenarios and all types of stuff. And maybe 2% of it ever happens, but there's pages and pages. Um, so it was different this year, but we still had to prepare, and we're happy with our draft. I think it filled a need for us of depth throughout the organization, and it's just another layer to the team that we're building here.
That that will maybe look like a weird question because I'm not a GM, and does it make the deal harder to do when you don't have like the other GM on the floor with you, or the fact that you have it on the phone, it's pretty much the same thing?
I think it's harder. I do think it's harder. I like dealing. I like dealing with people face to face. I think you can achieve things, you can get things done when you're dealing face to face. There's more of a relationship. There's more trust. There's more. I think there's a lot of information you can get from talking to someone face to face as well. So I think it's harder. I think it's harder. I much prefer the on the floor. Maybe the pressures of a live face to face negotiation. I enjoy that. I think it's almost like our own sport within the sport is the negotiation and trade. So I enjoy that, and I missed it. And there's a lot of really good GMs in this league that I'm sure missed it too.
So let's talk about the players right now. I thought I did an interview with your first pick, Leighton Carruthers. He looks such like a nice guy, genuine person, really really nice guy. But how is he as a hockey player?
Yeah, he's a good hockey. He's a good hockey player. Leighton's, when we were assessing Leighton's fit for our team, I think he's the best power forward in this draft. He's big, he's strong, he's a great skater. He's got a great shot. For us, we see him as being a really nice fit to our team, and a player that when he's 17 and 18 and 19 will be very interesting for our 3 years of really good hockey here. Um, I also think with Leighton, he's a player that when we interviewed, knowing the depth of our team, um, some players that we spoke to didn't maybe necessarily want to take on the challenge of starting on a fourth line and working their way up. And some players were actually scared um, to um, to come to the team because they didn't feel that there was going to be room for them to grow. And for us, we were looking for players that had the confidence that start me wherever you want, and I'm going to show you that I can move up and play an important role. And that was Leighton. Leighton wanted to be part of the team no matter what role. He wanted to prove to us that he can grow in his role, and he wants to win championships. So we really liked Leighton as a person, and we really liked his attitude, and that helped us big time. And in his season, if you look at maybe one of the areas that we thought Leighton could improve on is his consistency. But in the playoffs, when it mattered, I think he was a goal a game or almost a goal a game in the playoffs. So for us, that showed that it's a player that when things need to be ramped up, he can certainly do it.
So as far as his role in the team next year, you see him maybe the same path of Joshua Roy took last year, pretty much.
Yeah, that's actually the example we gave to Leighton. Is Joshua started last year fourth line wing and was finished first line center. So Leighton's going to have every opportunity, but it's going to be a meritocracy here. It's going to be based on merit for what he gets and what anyone else gets on the team next season. So he's up to that challenge, and we're really happy to have him.
What about Nathan Drapeau? He could have gone a little bit earlier. Were you surprised to see him when you drafted him?
Yeah, we're happy that we put our hands on him. I think Nathan for us is we liked our interview a lot. a low maintenance player, a player that plays the game the right way. He's a two-way defenseman. He can do a bit of everything. Our scouts and our head scout Anthony Stell like absolutely loved Nathan, and so I know that all our guys were really excited for us getting to draft him. He was excited as well, and he's a player that has a very late birth date. I believe he's December 30th. I'm the 29th. I think he was a day after me or a day before me. And so it's a player that is still very young and can come and play next year with us, but can also go back to midget and play. It won't hurt him either way. So yeah, we're really happy with Nathan, and we think that he'll be part of that next wave of defensemen coming in behind our group of 2002s.
And the next three picks are kind of interesting because you have Simon Hughes, Guillaume Richard, Duncan Ramsey, three guys. Well, let's start with Simon Hughes. Do you see him play in the QMJHL in the next couple of seasons?
He'll have every opportunity. He'll even have opportunity this year to crack our lineup. He's got good size. He's got good skill. He's a very driven and very confident young man, and he's part of Hockey Canada's selection for the U17 summer camp. So he's part of a select group there. So he'll have every opportunity for us to make the lineup this season, and we think he'll be a real good player for us. And we were actually a bit surprised that he was still there where we selected.
And the other one is the most interesting of all, I think, Guillaume Richard, who was drafted by the Tigre last year, decided that he wanted to play in the U.S. He reaffirmed that this year that he wanted to play in the U.S. But do you still have hope that you can convince him to come play in the QMJHL?
Yeah, we say it all the time. Great players have great options, and Guillaume's a great player, and he has great options. We're not here to convince him that his options aren't good in the USHL or at the University of Maine. That's not what we're here for. We're here to give him an alternative if he decides to come back to. If he decides that he wants to play major junior, he has a great organization that believes in him here, waiting for him. So we've had a little bit of communication with him, and we're going to take it step by step. And we think that for him, you look at our players, and you look at our 2003 age group of forwards with Reynolds and Roy and Mcdonnell and Charles Savoie, and you don't really see an 03 defenseman in that mix. So Guillaume, as well as Anthony Cleach, who we drafted the year before, fit really well in that age group. So we'll see. We'll take our time. We'll get to know Guillaume and his family, and see where it goes from there.
Do you think, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you think for this season there's still a little bit of hope, even though he made public that he wanted to go in the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm an optimistic person, so I'll always say yes. I think there's still there's always hope. I think not just specific to Guillaume's situation, but I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now due to the global pandemic, and there's uncertainty around our borders. And I know that I think the Q, and I think that our team is a pretty certain. We're a very stable team with great ownership with Scott McCain that as 100% owner of this team and backing this team. It's a very stable, steady choice here in St. John. And that doesn't go just for Guillaume, that's for everyone. So there's always a chance, and it's going to be up to him.
Earlier, you talk about the process being the first two seasons are building the team. The season that we're in, or we're going to go, is like the middle season, and the next season would be the championship season. But still there's chances that you could be contender this year when we look at the team on paper. So So do you think you're maybe ahead of the plan that you made 2-3 years ago?
I like that you're using the word process. We always talk about trust the process because it's hard when you're going through it. It's easy when you're going through it to start doubting, but we trusted the process, and here we are. I don't think that we're necessarily ahead of where we were. No, we expected, when we look at the last Sea Dogs rebuild after the 2012 Memorial Cup in Shawinigan, the team was at the bottom. I think it was 17 and 16th the first 2 years. Then they went 10th. Then they went, then they went 5th. And then they went first. And so us, after our 2017 Mem Cup experience in Windsor, we went 18th, then 17th, and 11th. And then we're kind of in the same path. And I might be off by a ranking or two, but we're on that same path. So I'm not surprised. I think our team has a chance to win this year. I do think we have a chance to win this year. Absolutely.
So in the last 40 minutes or so, we talked about all the high-profile names that we see in the media, but can you drop a couple of names that are maybe important to the team and maybe are like heroes that people don't talk about?
Yeah, we would need another 40 minutes to go through all of them because there's some really good players that don't get the credit that they deserve on our team. I mean, we'll start with Charlie Dahash. Charlie, we thought was definitely a top 10 pick in his draft year of the 02 draft. He's a right shot, good skating, honest defenseman. He was pushed into a role that he was going to be a PK guy for us, as well as a power play guy and a shutdown guy. He goes about his business. He's serious. He wants to win. He's not just low maintenance, he's no maintenance at all. And I think that he's an unsung hero. There's two guys up front that made some sacrifices in their 16-year-old year. There's Dawson Stairs that I look at that came back to Canada, played Maritime Junior A, would have been on our team, but we don't have room because of the limit of 16-year-olds. And he played in Maritime Junior A when he could have made every other Q lineup probably as a 16-year-old. And he sacrificed to play for this team. Alex Drover, who we traded for from Cape Breton. And he ended up playing after half a season in the league, rode the bus to Maritime Junior A in Nova Scotia just so he could be part of this group. And then I think of guys like Brady Burns and Josh Lawrence, who are two very skilled, dynamic forwards that had to face the top defense pairings throughout their 16, 17-year-old years. And both of them have done really, really well at 16 and 17. And I think they don't get enough credit either. But there's a lot of guys that the last one I'll leave you with is Kale Mccallum. He signed with us last year. He's a first year in the league last year at 17. He's a good left shot defenseman, a puck mover, great skater, multi-sport athlete, great person. He had a very bad hit in the fall. He got hit from behind playing against Val-d'Or and was hospitalized and came back in just a few weeks and played like nothing had happened. And very courageous young man. So there's a lot of those stories, and I'm definitely missing others. But yeah, we have a very special team.
What's going to be the philosophy of the team coming up to next season? What's going to be like? I don't know, the word that's going to define the team that we're going to see on the ice.
Sacrifice. And I've said it a few times today, sacrifice. You don't win championships without sacrifice. You need, in our blueprint, you need 3 first lines to win a championship. So you're asking players that would play at first line minutes on most teams to play on the second or third line. You need, 4 top pair defensemen, 6 top 4 defensemen. So you're asking players that typically would play top pair to play second pair, and players that play second pair to play on a third pair. So to win championships, you need teams of that quality. And so this group, it really comes down to sacrifice. And we've seen it with our players already making different sacrifices. And it's gonna be next season. It's gonna be all about team first and sacrifice with the hopes to have a chance at the cup one day.
Do you have a couple of players that we might not know that played in the midget Triple A last season or a lower rank last season, and that might be part of the team next season? Some players we might don't know.
Yeah, I look at a guy like who was part of our team the second half, Charles Savoie. And Charles played at the Saint Eustache the first half of the year. He's a 6'1", skilled forward that brings a good high compete level for us. He came up at Christmas, and he finished the season. He played very well. He moved up the lineup because he earned it, and I think he's a player in that mix with the Juan, Reynolds, and Mcdonnell of the 2003s that you don't hear much about. But we took him with the 34th pick in the 2019 draft. I know that Anthony and our scouting staff had him ranked in the first round. So we were very happy when he was available to us. So I would keep an eye on Charles Savoie.
And how do you see some prospect of in your team right now going to next season for the NHL draft? Like, who are the guys that we will follow for the next NHL draft?
For the one
for the
upcoming
2021.
2021. I mean, Joshua Roy, Peter Reynolds, Cam Mcdonnell, Charles Savoie. He's a Sea Dog on paper, but not yet in jersey, but a guy like Guillaume Richard. The other one is Noah Patnaud, the Swiss-Canadian goalie, a very late birthday. He's a 2002 born, so his draft year is not till 2021. But anybody that wants to see what he can do, we played Drummondville last season, and I'd pull up that game and watch that and see what a goalie at that time, he might have still been 16, what he could do. So the four forwards, Anthony Cleese as well, who's not officially in our jersey yet. We hope one day. And so the four forwards, the two defensemen, and Noah Patnaud, the goalie.
We're almost done. I want to talk about a bit about the Euro draft. You draft Zveshkov, if I'm right. Have you seen him play a little bit, like live, or did you just see videos? How does it work for the Euro draft?
Yeah, so the Euro draft is building. You have to have strong relationships, and you have to have a great product to sell that players want to come and play here. Fortunately for the organization, we haven't had a problem bringing top import players over the past number of years. You look at the year we brought in Ostap Safin and Radim Salda and Max Chaykovich. So we've had the last few years, and before that, obviously Galiev, Yurko, Zaboros from very good import drafts. You start working on it a long time in advance. Some players that we started discussing this time last year. Sveshkov is a player that I haven't seen live. Anthony Stella saw him live and watched him closely, and we really liked his game. Just a very dynamic, gifted offensive threat. We thought he was the best Russian forward in his age group. We don't know that he's coming. He's planning on staying in Russia. But we have a good relationship with his agent, JP Barry and CAA, and we're going to work with them to see if there's a possibility for him to come over. Our decision with that, Alex, was we could have brought in 100% good forward to come and play on our team. But to bring in a good forward and have him take a spot take minutes away from our very talented group didn't make sense to us.
Mm.
So we said either we're going to bring in a forward that is elite and like a first line forward, best player of his age group in his country, or we're going to give the ice time to our guys that we have because we really like the group that we have. And we're very lucky that because of our depth, we're able to do that. So we'll hope that Fedor wants to come play here. We've already contacted him, and he seems excited that he was drafted by us, and we'll see where that goes.
And the way you talk about it, it's interesting because it's better for the team, but it's better for the player that comes too. You don't want to quit your family, your country, and everything, and play 2 minutes a game or 4 minutes a game. I throw numbers out there, but you don't want to sacrifice all this and just not having an important role or an important chance to be seen by the NHL scout.
Absolutely, and Alex, you used our word, sacrifice. You don't want to ask a player to do that and come over to then play third and fourth line or not be in the lineup. I don't think that's something we want to ask of somebody. So if we're able to get Fedor, it gives us it's another weapon that will be in that 2021 NHL draft.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Trevor, for this long interview. Thank you for your generosity. I think you're going to have a really exciting team. The Sea Dogs are going to be a real exciting team to follow this season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much.